Represent.
Hopefully the last game will get commentated really well. I feel like we've got a chance. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think there might be some good commentary there.
All right. So the RaceBot did count down here, so we're going to see them starting very shortly. There goes. Oh, I see it finally going there on the SRL page or Speed Gaming. Sorry, we're not on SRL tonight. Speed Gaming.
Yes.
So we got a couple different routes here. We got Ppotdot going to cut first, and we got Richard going to guts first.
Yeah, the biggest difference that's going to be between these is the use of Magnet Beam early with Ppotdot, whereas Richard will not have that luxury.
Yeah, you see Richard right now going over these guts platforms, having to make all these jumps. It was always sort of a very challenging intro screen, I always thought, when trying to do this the first time I played the game. But we'll see when Ppotdot gets there. He's going to have the Magnet Beam, which will make that screen quite a bit easier. Goes for that corner jump once and then just says, nope, only once. So he's definitely got some forethought going on in his route where he knows he'll go for certain things probably maybe so many times, but quickly aborting as soon as things go sour.
Don't want to waste too much time trying to just do something over and over again, so it's best to go for it once. If you get it, great. If not,
Well, exactly, and especially something like that, like the corner jump really only saves like a second, right? So I mean, we really want to make sure that if you're gonna go for something, and you don't get it, you gotta be able to at least swallow your pride a little bit and just skip something if you know you just aren't practiced at it. So Guts is going down fairly quickly here. Sometimes I find this fight to be kind of confusing because sometimes it's an easy buster fight, and then there's other times where Guts is actually really scary and he'll actually kind of charge you sort of as he makes his jumps across the screen, but Richard getting a fairly decent pattern there where he stayed off to the far side of the screen for a little bit, and that was nice.
Indeed. Opting not to use the select glitch on Cutman. It's a little bit faster to not if you're able to time it correctly and get around his rolling cutter.
Yeah, the nice thing about Mega Man 1 and 2 is your shots don't get absorbed by bosses' hitboxes when they are in invincibility frames. Ugh. English is tough tonight. And so you can actually keep shots sort of overlapping the boss's hitboxes in those games. And basically, if you time them correctly, you'll guarantee frame-perfect hits. So that's what you saw there, Ppotdot doing with Cutman. There's not a huge benefit really to Guts first in comparison to Cut first, except for the fact that it's easier. It's really
a lot easier.
It's really what it comes down to. You're going to see Ppotdot, when he gets up to where the Magnet Beam is, he's going to have to do sort of a clip and then a zip over into the wall. And if you don't do that fairly quickly, you're actually losing time to the Guts route. So hopefully when we see Ppotdot do that, we'll see a fairly clean zip in and zip out.
Now the problem, if he does soft lock, there is no passwording in Mega Man 1, so he'll have to replay Cut again in order to get that back.
Yeah, that's the real danger when it comes to like a race setting. Unlike RTA, you can't just reset. You gotta actually just restart the game. You can't restart the race. Meanwhile, Richard's health is actually pretty low here. He's probably okay. He's just gonna go over here and grab this health. That's a good idea, actually, because this big eye at the bottom of Cut likes to jump into the runners. So getting that health there is actually pretty critical because, as you can see, he doesn't want to really take a death here. And he does get hit by the big eye, so very, very wise decision there by Richard.
Let's see, Ppotdot gets the Magnet Beam. Took him a few tries there to actually get on the ladder to initiate the zip, but it was clean getting in and out afterwards.
Yeah. So, unfortunately there, Richard just decides to take a little bit of time lost there with the death, but nothing too critical. It's better to do that than take a death during the fight, so he decides to just play it safe here. And it's a good thing he did too, because he did get hit there, so. Again, that's just something that really is smart play, in all honesty. Like, he knows his limitations. If he hasn't, you know, practiced Mega Man 1 as much as some of the other games, he might just figure, you know what? Why take the risk and just proactively try to save some of the potential time loss. We got Ppotdot trying to do some of these elect beam skips. Looks like he got by 3 of the 6, so kind of a nice little time save there. You see these guys, it sort of looks like the game is completely freezing, and that's actually because they are pausing the game. By using the select button in Mega Man 1, you can pause the game, and that allows you to keep shots like you saw there. He was holding the cutter shot inside of Elect's hitbox. And thankfully, in this game, if you hit select, the boss's invincibility frames will still run, so you can essentially get your hits in, and then pause the game and wait for the iframes to wear off, then just unpause and repause immediately, and just repeat until eventually the boss is dead. So you see that basically throughout the entirety of Mega Man 1, just making the bosses really, really trivial.
Let's see Ppotdot here trying to set up a zip here in Iceman's stage. Looks like he gets it. And gets a screener up on the next as well.
Ooh, I'm a bit behind you because he's just setting it up for me. Maybe I'll refresh.
Looks like he tries to set up for the second zip, but doesn't quite get that either. But the first zip is really the important one in Iceman stage that you're trying to get, because it saves time for not having to go through the Yoku block sections.
So there you see Richard grabbing the Magna Beam the normal way, the intended way, just using Guts' weapon to remove the blocks. And so that's sort of where some of the time loss potentially is, because obviously he had to play through Guts' stage without it, whereas Ppotdot will have the beam, so he'll be able to make, again, the beginning section easier and maybe get some zips. I'm not sure if Ppotdot has tried to do any zips yet in Guts.
Yeah, we will see.
So Ppotdot's through ice, so he's already got 3 robots down. Richard just coming into his boss corridor for Alec, so he's almost got 3 down. Alec is the longest of the 6 robots in Mega Man 1, so it always takes a while for the runners to sort of go through these rooms, just because of all these ladders. You see how slow Mega Man climbs ladders, so...
Looks like he opts and just straight go to cutter rather than to use Magna Beam to help climb up.
Yeah, those are some pretty tricky climbs with the Magna Beam, so it's not surprising that we see some safer choices here.
Better to get up than to fall. So Ppotdot's going through fire, he's getting these zips. There's one more zip coming up here where it's a quite a bit longer zip. We'll see him execute it here. This one's a little riskier because if you don't set it up quite right, you can die. And Ppotdot having a little problem. He's got enough beam to try one more time here, so hopefully... Alright, he should be fine. He should be fine.
Hopefully he's got the setup the way he wants it.
There he goes.
Yeah, very nice, very nice.
That saves a lot of time for having to go around the real way. You have to go kind of back and forth to get all the way around.
Yeah, it's kind of a long walking section. That one and like the zip and bomb are probably
the biggest skips.
Two of the most important ones, yeah, to know, just for time save wise. Meanwhile, we see Richard is gonna throw a couple beams here to see if he can get it, but puts out 3, decides nope, that's enough, and I'm gonna go for the normal strat of just using the beam to help me get through the Yokus faster.
Yeah, not a bad way to do it. If you're not used to doing the zip, it's, you know, good to conserve your beam to get through this way instead.
Yeah, definitely. These platforms are terrible, so we really want to just be able to have the beam here. It's just so much easier. Looks like Richard should be okay. He's using a lot of beam here, but he is going to make it to the end here. Hopefully, he maybe grabs some health here. Okay, good.
Alright.
the big eye is coming up, like just like in Cut, and he was very low health, which would have been pretty terrifying to get past. But he's just gonna beam over top to play it safe, so.
Now Ppotdot switches the ice over here on Bomb Man stage, most importantly to hit this Sniper Joe with, because Mega Man 1 Sniper Joes will follow you to the ends of Earth. They will not give you a break until you are dead. So we just switched to Ice Beam so that we can freeze him there and actually move past him.
Yeah, it's always actually pretty funny when somebody forgets to freeze him, actually, because, yeah, like Tarek said, they'll chase you forever, and it's pretty comical to watch people try to continue playing the stage without doing that.
Now Ppotdot's setting up for the bomb zip. It's pretty much the exact same pixel that you would need to have for the fire zip, so it's a pretty consistent setup across each stage. Just how you execute it is a bit different.
Yeah,
Turns around left. Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you see them setting those zips up from the ladders. That's just because zips, you have to be on, they are like pixel perfect. You have to be on the exact pixels. So if you're not on, if you don't have like confidence in, you know, some of the other setups where it just comes down to your muscle memory, the ladders, setting up from a ladder makes it pretty much just free. As you can see, Richard doing it a couple times there. Just it guarantees that your pixel will be right and that the zip will work every time.
Now you can just jump and try and do that, but again, pixel perfect, so you gotta be really good on your muscle memory in order to get that. Let's see Ppotdot using the magnet beam here, like I mentioned earlier, trying to skip these platforms.
Yeah, it looked like he maybe didn't quite get the setup initially the way he wanted, so he just decided to wait a little bit. But
yeah,
he
better
is
to
over
be
the
safe.
pit. Ooh,
that was balls.
He fell through the beam.
That was interesting.
I don't know why that happened. Because the beam was there.
Yeah.
That was kind of interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before.
Where's White Hat? We need White Hat.
But Ppotdot coming down to the final boss corridor now, and then he'll be off to Mega Man 2. And Richard here getting close. Not really that far behind. It's just he's still gonna have to play Bomb Stage. Bomb Stage, although with the zip and everything, it's not that long of a stage, so I'm sure we'll see a fairly close race here once they get to Mega Man 2. And Guts actually being kind of nice to Ppotdot and staying right around the bomb. He's not normally like that.
Yeah, he can be a big troll when you're trying to find him with bomb. You just throw it down and then he just jumps out of the radius of it. You can't do anything about it because you can't throw another bomb until the first one's gone. Alright, on to Mega Man 2 with only one more stage of Mega Man 1 for Richard. No, I didn't catch. Is Ppotdot doing Rockman 2 or Mega Man 2?
It looked like he did normal.
Okay. The biggest difference if you did Rockman 2, the Japanese version, being faster text on the item get screen, so you save quite a bit of time. However, there's only difficult mode on the Japanese version, so you have to do a lot more to actually get through the game.
Yeah, you can tell by how much damage he was dealing to those enemies. It's definitely normal. You'll see he'll shoot the tin can here coming up and it will die in one hit.
Yeah.
Right there. Oops. One held right a little earlier there. There's not a whole lot going on in Flash's stage, as you can see. It's just a It's a straightforward platforming stage. The floors are all ice physics, but since we don't really have to worry about that too much, the only times that's really a concern is if the runners are going to take damage. They want to make sure that they jump as soon as possible so that the ice physics doesn't drag them further back. They want to reset their directional speed sort of by jumping. Flash goes down pretty fast on normal, so...
Yeah, watching the difficult fight done right is really impressive. You have to be very specific on where you place your shots at.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, looks like Richard just barely misses the setup for...
Yeah, he's got it the second time, I think, though, here. Yep.
I welcome our Mad Nerd Overlords.
Oh, we had some normal nerds, and then some mad nerds there. That was interesting. All hail Mad Nerd, I guess. I don't know what to say.
I welcome our Mad Nerd Overlords.
And here you see Bomb going down pretty easily. Bomb is actually one of the easier bosses in 1, even if you don't use the select glitch, so... Pretty trivial fight even with it, so... Good job, Richard is done with Mega Man 1, and both runners are now into 2. And Ppotdot is going to heat second, so... I guess that means we're either likely going to see one of two things. Either he's going with air third, or he's learned Baron's crazy route.
Crash third.
We'll be seeing what he decides to do there. I'm pretty sure it'll be air third. I don't think anyone else has actually used Baron's route yet, but...
It's because Baron is a madman.
It's like a mad scientist. He, like, steps into his lab, and he comes up with just the craziest things that you then realize, why didn't I think of that?
Hey, it saves 10 seconds if you do it right.
But I'm sure we'll be seeing pretty standard routes from both of these guys.
Yeah. No, because he does do heat second, he does actually have to go through the Yoku blocks, which you can speed up, but you have to be really risky with how you jump on them.
Yeah, Ppotdot just playing it a little bit safe, taking the Yoku blocks slower, which is smart.
Yes.
Priority is getting through them alive more than anything else, so in a 2-hour run, you don't want to have to worry about taking a death there.
Now, you've seen Ppotdot do over a couple of pits there, like after the Yoku block. He would pause and then swap weapons. When you pause in Mega Man 2, you actually reset your horizontal momentum, so you can actually make further gaps than what you normally would be able to.
Ppotdot trying to do some of these buffer jumps, and quickly aborts after taking the first hit. As you can see, Heatman does a lot of damage with his body, so just electing to play it safe now. Good choice.
Yeah. Heatman's a really random boss. He can give you 3 patterns, either 30, 60, or 90 frames for when he charges again. So you're hoping to get as many 30s as you can just to shoot him again, but he doesn't like to play nice necessarily.
Yeah, and like when you do see those buffer strats used, like it's pretty scary actually. Like when you see them done the way the intended way, like by someone like Elonesia or Zodanor, and then you try to do it yourself, and you're like, why am I terrible?
You just fail everywhere.
They're just that hard. Like they're very, very difficult. You have to have very quick reflexes to adjust quickly when you see Heatman actually go. So Richard is going to go to air second. It's an easier route, but he's going to have to play through these cloud platforms and wait as they take him around the room. Whereas Ppotdot, he has item 1 from Heatman stage, so he's going to be going for fast air here. We'll see how that goes, because we've seen some pretty rough fast airs so far in this tournament. Already kind of getting some bad luck there, getting knocked back, but he does save it, so that's very good. It's actually kind of tight to do that.
Now, he is doing an easier version of the fast air, taking a lot of damage boosts as you go across. You can actually do that damageless by landing on both sides of the enemy on the very, very, very narrow spot you have. It's incredibly difficult to do.
And in a race setting or in a category like this, it's just not a good idea. Like, you might as well go with the granny air strats and take the D boosts. But Ppotdot gets through. all the areas of his item 1, so as long as he can get to the boss door here, this is a very, very nice, clean airman stage. You see him there turning to spawn the bird to the left, just making it a little easier on himself so that those little birds aren't going to get in his way. And as long as 2 of those little birds remain on screen, he won't have any more spawn from the right, so there you can see he gets all the way to the boss door without any more bird spawns. And Richard also making it through here, so you can see there sort of how much faster using item 1 is over that pit. Because they kind of both entered the stage about the same time.
Not so nice patterns from Airman for Ppotdot.
Yeah, really, really rough fight there.
At least he was able to get patterns that he could dodge. There are a couple of undodgeable patterns you just kind of have to deal with, which would have been really scary given his health.
Richard having a nice little jump around the air shooters, though, and gets a lot of hits in on that second phase, so... So Ppotdot has all his items now. That's sort of the way this game is typically routed. It's basically routed in a way so you get the item 1, 2, and 3 as fast as you can, so that you can use those to zip and to fly across the screen and stuff very quickly, basically just to save time in all the other stages. So Ppotdot's off to Crashman stage. He is probably going to go for this the Biggie special setup here. We'll see if he can get it. It's kind of it's a pretty tight trick here, but we'll see if he can get it. Oh, that was pretty close. Pretty close.
It was really close.
But essentially what he was trying to do there is this zip you're about to see him do right now. He was trying to set this zip up from the previous room. You can do it from that room below. But however, the timing is very, very precise. So it was unfortunately, a little bit off. Just missed it, but he is going to get the backup zip here and walk around and take the death warp past the checkpoint.
Now he's going to swap to heat here, however, because if you start charging up heat and then after you die, you fire heat, it actually cancels out your death animation and allows you to spawn a lot faster.
Yeah, it's like the respawn in Mega Man 2 is sort of based off of the sound effect of Mega Man dying. And when you release, like you have a heat charge and you release it, the sound just cuts it. And I think it's something to do with that, and it just sort of makes you respawn a lot faster. Richard having a little bit of problem setting up the zip. He's going to try it again.
Needs to be a little bit lower on that ladder to get it. Not quite.
Yeah, he's just going to set it up from the ground, it looks like. Ooh. Hopefully, I don't know if he's got enough item now to get it all the way up to the top. He's going to have to either kill some of these tellies or just not do the zip. Now, he is on normal. He probably could farm some ammo, because drop rates in Mega Man 2 normal are pretty high, but he looks like he's just going to elect to do the zipless strats instead.
Ppotdot, in the meantime, nails a whole bunch of these item 3s.
Okay, yep, he got zipped out by the Yoku block, unfortunately, to the left, and down into the pit.
Yeah, it's pretty scary, like deceptively scary, I should say, going through this normally. Because of those.
Yeah. Ppotdot does get his Crashman kill. You can tell Richard is a Mega Man 6 runner there. He tried to back deboost on that telly. A lot of us sort of Mega Man 3, 4, 5, 6 runners will do that, you'll notice, in Mega Man 1 and 2. And we always forget that it doesn't really matter in Mega Man 1 and 2. You don't have to turn and try to back deboost. The game will just knock you back based on the direction that enemy is facing, so...
Damage
as much as we want it to. As much as we want it to, yeah. It's, unfortunately not a thing in the early games.
Now, Ppotdot's going to set up a zip here to try and go through the famous Quickman section off-screen, essentially.
Ooh. Try setting up. Ooh, that's not right. Can you get it with that one? There we go. There we go. That's looking good.
Now, if he ran through that zip entirely, he would have actually done this entirely in the dark, but because he wiggled right at the last second, he turned on the lights still, and he's able to see what screen he is currently on as he falls, before it actually transitions.
Looking a little scary there for Richard there for a second, but he uses his E-tank and he's fine.
Now there is another zip that you can do here in quick to get through this ceiling that Ppotdot is currently at, but it's a lot scarier to do because you have a potential risk of soft locking in the end.
Man, I must be behind again.
Okay.
How are you gaining time on me?
I don't know, I was a little behind it, so I refreshed.
He's hitting the door for me now.
I'm about a second ahead.
Okay, so it's not that bad then.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Thankfully, this quick fight is very, very fast with Crash. On difficult, you have to hit him 7 times, which you only have 7 ammo, so it makes the fight a little more stressful. I think it's 7, right? He does 4 damage to him, I think.
I'm honestly not sure.
Might be I think it's. I'm pretty sure it's 4. And so you have exact ammo, whereas in normal you only have to hit him 4 times, so it's not nearly as hard. Ooh, that item's looking a little bit too far to the. Ooh, just barely. That was very close. Like if it had been maybe another pixel to the right, I think that item would have disappeared on him. But ends up being a pretty good placement.
While having some difficulties trying to get this one in metal.
There he goes.
The freest zip in all of Mega Man 2.
This is definitely a zip that you want to learn. Even if you're like if you joined into this tournament and you didn't know any of the zips, like do yourself a favor. There are definitely some zips in this game that are worth learning, and that one is one of them for sure. It skips the longest, probably the longest. I mean, I think it is the longest zip in the game for 8 robots anyway, for sure.
And it's incredibly easy to do.
Yeah, it's really easy.
It's really, really easy.
Yeah, we see a lot of people join into these tournaments and they participate, but they still don't want to learn the zips, and it's kind of unfortunate because if you don't learn the skips, it's like, well, I mean, at least as long as you can have fun, I guess, in the tournament.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're basically giving yourself not a chance to really compete because everybody else is going to be using them.
Now, what you did see there in Ppotdot's fight with Metal Man is a small exploit that you can use. If you hold down the fire button while you have quick out against Metal before the fight starts, and you stay on the left side of the screen, Metal won't move at all. So you can just sit there and jump near the center of the screen and he'll just die. Take all the hits.
Yeah, it's sort of a weird thing. He's sort of based on, yeah, the press of the B button. You can, if you're on Rockman 2, he will jump eventually without you pressing any buttons too, but it takes a little while for it to actually happen.
I think Richard just got the 1 hit on Crash, but I'm not sure.
He did, yeah, he got the double hit. Yeah, it's sort of a lucky jump. Crash can jump further to the left or further, like, sort of straight up, and if he jumps sort of straight up, you can get a double hit and kill him in 1 shot on normal. Ppotdot gets that zip, so he should be able to pass the 3 dogs here with this 1 flash. Just getting by the 3rd one.
Now he goes for probably the most famous zip, at least in Mega Man 2.
This is probably the weirdest thing you ever see when you first see a Mega Man 2 speedrun, I would think, right?
I would agree with that.
Like, it doesn't matter who you are. If you've played this game and you've never seen a speedrun of this game, I feel like this has got to be like the one thing you look at and go, okay, no. That's not how it works. I've played this game. But Ppotdot looking like he's gonna get this. He does have to make sure that he lets go of this ladder.
Okay.
Or finishes the zip and dies in the right spot, which he does. We did see somebody earlier in the tournament accidentally over zip.
Oh, did they?
It's a pretty unfortunate mistake to make because you either then have to game over or you have to just reset and password back. So
Yeah, for some reason it like warps you to Wily 3 and you're stuck there. It's
Yeah.
weird.
So Ppotdot is through wood. He's got one more stage to go. He's actually he's doing pretty well right now. He's on PB pace, which is always good to see for the runners. Richard was actually doing all right as well for him, and he was on PB pace as well. But I think he lost a little bit of time there in that Heatman stage. And
Yeah.
So, but it looks like he's going to gain some back here. This quick man, he must have had a death in his previous run, so he's still doing all right. Both these runners are sort of playing well within their skill range at the moment.
Now here is Bubbleman stage, the Destroyer of Streams. Unfortunately, you cannot stream that stage that we found and actually have it look good.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it too, it's always interesting when you get a restream too, because you've got the initial streamer who is at the mercy of their own bitrate.
Right.
So even if the restreamer is streaming at a very, very high bitrate and potentially could have it look a little bit better, it doesn't matter, because you're restreaming somebody who's probably not got as good of a connection as you, and you just see, Ppotdot's stream just sort of was non-existent there for a little bit. Look at all those drops.
Welcome to Mega Man 2 Normal.
Yeah, thank you, normal mode. But thankfully, that's really the only place in this category, through Mega Man 1 to 6, that you really see that terrible bitrate. Kind of maybe a little bit in Toadman stage with the rain, but not nearly as bad as the waterfalls here.
And that's Mega Man 2 for Ppotdot on to 3.
Yep. 2 games down already. This is going pretty quick. These guys are good. Richard has 2 more stages after Metal here, so...
See Ppotdot going with Magnet first in Mega Man 3. There are a couple of different routes in it.
Yeah, I have heard that Magnet is the future. I don't know if it is anymore.
It might not be. It was at one point.
There are 3 sort of set routes for Mega Man 3. You have Gemini first, Magnet first, and Top first. They've all sort of bounced around. They've had the record within the last 2 years. The record has been all 3 of those routes. So there's been a lot of debate on what is the fastest routes, but I think at this point now, it's pretty much agreed upon that Top first is the fastest route, with Magnet first being a few seconds behind that, and then Gemini being a couple seconds behind that. So they're all pretty close in a category like this where you're playing for 2 hours.
Just go with whatever's comfortable.
It's probably not going to be a big factor. You just want to play, like you said, what you're comfortable with, what you're going to be most consistent with. And Magnet first is a good choice for that, because Magnet first is actually a very consistent route in comparison to the other 2. So we actually see a lot of the runners do this route. I think we've seen 1 Needle first route and like a couple Gemini firsts and some Top firsts, but there's been quite a few Magnet firsts. So this is a good route choice. I approve of this route. The only downside is this here is that you have the RNG factor of Magnet. It's really the worst part.
You also have the Yoku blocks that you have to go through when normally you'd have Jet otherwise.
Yeah. His health is a little low. He does get a jump at the end, so he doesn't have to worry about waiting out a magnetization. I don't even know what you would call that move. He essentially uses his magnets to pull Mega Man in. I'm not actually sure if that move has a name or not, but similar to the Dustman effect. It's very, very similar to Dustman. Like, he goes invincible basically, but if you slide into him, you can take him out of that pattern. So, but unfortunately, Ppotdot didn't have any more health. So if he had got that, he would have had to wait it out.
Looks like Richard is opting not to go for good wood, which honestly is understandable if you're not used to it, because doing good wood is not an easy thing to like pick up right away. It really got a lot of intricacies to it, little things to.
And not only that, but like you got to do it fast. Like I did a run of Mega Man 2 at one point where I did Goodwood, and I actually did it pretty cleanly to my skill range. I thought, you know what, that was not bad. That was actually pretty good. I later played against those same splits, and I didn't go for it because I didn't have a life, so I had to just... and also probably didn't have a life because I was playing Mega Man, but over excessively. But I didn't have a life to go for the skip because you have to have an extra life to Death Warp. So I decided to just do it, obviously zipless because of that, and I gold split. So I mean, you really need to execute it well. Like you can't just do it slowly. You have to go.
Mm-hmm.
Richard is through, so he's got one more Robot Master left in Mega Man 2, and then he'll be off to the arguably, objectively better Mega Man games that have the slide. I don't want to say that too loudly, I guess, because I know there's a lot of love for Mega Man 1 and 2, but I don't know what it is. There's just, speedrun-wise, there's something about the sliding Mega Man games that are incredibly fun.
I agreed.
Thank goodness these games have zipping, that's all I have to say about that.
No kidding.
So Richard getting through the first waterfall section of Bubble. See if he can get this first zip. Meanwhile, Ppotdot's fighting Hardman. You see Ppotdot actually getting hit by Hardman. That's an intentional hit. Because Hardman, when he hits the ground, will freeze Mega Man in place for a few seconds. But if you take damage from the bottom of Hardman's hitbox, for whatever reason it unfreezes you, because you get hit once, and then he hits you again immediately, knocking you out of that stun. So you do need a lot of health. You need at least 13 health to pull that strat off, but it makes the fight just a few seconds faster.
Richard unfortunately misses his first attempt at this bubble zip, but gets it the second time, which is still faster, as far as I know, than walking through it.
Having some issues with this giant fish here. He's trying to actually kill it, and I guess finally just decides to leave it be. Something I guess we can also mention is Mega Man 3 is also the first game. You see people talking about the dog. Mega Man 3 is the first game that brings Rush into the franchise, so we now have Rush Coil. You'll be seeing Rush Jet, and maybe we might see some Rush Marine. We'll see what happens in Gemini Man stage, but definitely one of the better additions to the franchise. Definitely was when they brought Rush in, I think.
Yeah. I want to ask Ppotdot how many times he's asking himself to remove ladders after this.
Yeah, Mega Man 3 ladders are probably the worst programmed thing in this game. Yeah, for whatever reason, it's great if you're climbing up a ladder because you can actually jump off the top of the ladder before you're actually at the top. It's about 3 or 4 pixels, I think, from the top. You can still jump off of it, which is kind of nice. It's like in a speedrun, it's like, oh, I don't even have to climb to the top. I can already jump off. But when you're climbing down a ladder, it's also working against you. So you actually have to climb down a little bit before you can release a ladder to drop. And if you don't do that, you'll hit A and you'll go right back to the top of the ladder, which is very frustrating, especially for new runners when they're not used to that yet. But Ppotdot having a pretty nice top. Doesn't quite get back to the middle of the room, but still pretty fast.
Yeah, Mega Man 3, starting where you actually have to get to the center of the room, and you can't move after you kill the boss, so you want to get as close to the center as possible.
Yeah. And Richard is doing top first, so that means that he's going to be super careful, because that shadow stage, which is the second one in his route, is going to be incredibly dangerous. We'll see how risky he decides to play it. He also has to, you see him, has to mash these cats down. They have 10 HP, so shooting them with Buster takes quite a lot of, takes some pretty tough mashing to take them down, whereas Ppotdot had Magnet, so they only take 5 magnets to kill, so it's a lot easier. Very, very nice proto fight there. Not a right wall, but, you know, we can't all be Darko. And Casio.
It's true.
And Elo. Okay, I guess there are a lot of people that can do it. It's just me and a few other people that can't do it.
Not at all.
Mega Man 3 is a very mash-heavy game, obviously, as you can see. There's no Charge Buster yet. That's not till the next game, so a lot of things don't have invincibility frames, so the faster you can mash, the faster things die. And so for people who have very, very good mashing abilities, this game is definitely up their alley, because really that's a big roadblock, other than the movement itself, is being able to mash things down quickly. So you saw Ppotdot go through that last parachute screen. He had magnets. It makes it very, very easy because the magnets will track the parachutes as they come down. But Richard is not going to have magnet when he gets to that room. So you're going to see him. He's got two choices, basically. He's either going to have to bait out the parachutes and buster them down, or try to go across that room with topspin. And that's a very, very scary thing to do, because topspin actually kind of knocks you back when you hit an enemy. So depending on his movement, some of those jumps become very, very tight. In fact, depending on the pattern you get too from the parachutes, I think some of them even become frame perfect, which is basically means he's got a 1/60th of a second to hit that jump. And I mean, I don't know about you guys when you learn speed games or play games, but
doing
my
that multiple times
consistency
in a
on
row
one frame is not necessarily the best. So hopefully when he gets to this next long room here after this dark room, we'll see him get through it without any problems. But I mean, honestly, even just taking one death in this room is not even the worst thing sometimes, because seriously, this room is very hard.
Oh, he's gonna go for it.
Is he? He's switching to top.
It's playing a little safe though. That's the best.
Yeah, that's not a bad option.
That's not a bad option at all. I do not blame him at all for that.
Yeah, this room is just not fun. I immediately knew I was never gonna do top first when I saw this room.
When you saw that, it's like an involuntary slide cancel in the air.
It's really not fun.
Also, reminder that topspin does not drain based on you holding the button down.
Is that what you've heard?
That's what a lot of people say.
Oh, okay.
It is.
I definitely agree with Terex here that if you are gonna talk a lot about how topspin works, you should definitely mention to Fasta about how on this speed gaming race, you should all tweet at Ppotdot1 about how you learned that tapping B prevents your topspin from draining on Shadow Man.
Absolutely.
I highly recommend that if you have Twitter, you tweet at him right now.
Fast.cc.
Yeah, that's Ppotdot1, Fastatcc. But no, seriously, obviously a lot of people know about how risky it is to have your Shadow or your topspin drain on Shadow. And it's just based off of how long you're inside of his hitbox spinning, so you really want to minimize that so that you don't lose all your ammo.
Mm-hmm.
Ppotdot looks like he was he didn't start that fight with, oh, he must have E-tanked, okay. I was gonna say, did he not start that fight with Shadowblade, but I think he went back to the other side of the menu to E-tank. I just missed it.
Also, we have to mention that he used Rush Marine, the best rush.
He did, yeah. Those single blocks in that room are pretty hard to do. Like, the lag changes a lot based on the dragonflies and the fish as they're going through the room. So it's much easier to just go with Rush Marine and go along the bottom. It's a little slower, but it's really... If you die in the single block strat, I mean, obviously, doing Rush Marine off the bat then is faster. Play to your strengths. I say it all the time.
Yeah, especially in a race setting, you want to try and make sure you get done with in a race, especially on a longer race than what most of these people are normally used to.
Yeah. So Richard is going along the top, but he's not doing really any slides, so he's not really going to save.
He's got a bit because he's killing some of the dragonflies, so he's reducing some lag in that regard.
Yeah, he is waiting a lot though and playing it super safe. I don't know if
Yes.
that would have been faster than Marine or not. It might not have been, just based on some of the times he was waiting for the dragonflies. But it doesn't really matter again, because he made it
Player
through and he
strength.
didn't die. So, I mean, that's really all you can ask for.
Yep.
Ooh, he does take a hit from the Stomper here. Ppotdot, on the other hand, getting hit by that Stomper and Needle is actually intentional, so not an issue on that one.
Well, it looks like Richard's gonna eat tank.
Yeah, he's gonna do it too. Again, better than dying. I mean, let's be honest.
Also, shoutouts to Nadua.
Yes, I've heard that Nadua has missed a few Gemini lasers in his day. So, Richard is through the two hardest stages of this route, so I mean, obviously he's not out of the woods yet, he's still got a lot of game to go yet, but, I mean, you definitely want to breathe a sigh of relief when Gemini and Shadow stage are done in this route, because they're just very punishing.
And we see Ppotdot going Sparkman. I think most people go Snake Man and then Sparkman, do they not?
Yeah, but it's not really a big deal.
Right.
All that he has to be careful of is his menu is going to be a little bit different, that's all.
But if that's what you're used to, then, you know,
Yeah, if
make a
he's
difference.
prepared for it, it should be fine.
You have the weakness already for both of them.
Yep. Yeah, Mega Man 3 weakness order is very unique. There's no definite weakness order like in 4, 5, and 6, where every boss has a very specific weakness. There are a lot of soft weaknesses in 3, and there's actually 2 closed-loop boss weakness orders in this game. So, Snake, Needle, and Gemini form a 3-robot loop, and then the other 5 form another loop. So, at some point, you have to fight a boss without its actual weakness. Other than, like, Buster, you can have, like, a soft weakness for it, and that's why we see these guys fight Gemini Man with Shadow Blade, basically. Sort of breaking into that second weakness loop. And now they have Gemini so they can kill Needle, and then they'll have Needle so they can kill Snake.
And we'll see how Richard's needle fight goes. Significantly better than Ppotdot's.
Yep, just taking the damage. The needles only deal 3 damage, so as long as you focus on getting hit by the actual small needles themselves, it's a pretty safe fight. Ooh, Ppotdot actually getting the worst pattern from Spark. Oh, and he actually... So that's actually
The
a
juice.
time loss. You really don't want to... So when you get that pattern from Spark, it's unfortunate, and you basically just stand up into the corner of that one step and just mash as hard as you can. If you try to get back up to that top step, you're just going to lose time. It's not worth going for, but ideally, usually you try to get back to the center of the screen, but there are certain scenarios where the bosses just give you bad RNG, and you got to deal with it, but unfortunately, Ppotdot might not realize that yet, so hopefully when he watches the VOD and hears this, he'll realize it for next time.
I hope you guys brought some snacks to this race, because we're in Snack Man.
Dude, Snack is the best stage.
That's a great stage.
Snake it's my favorite stage of this game. It's a little bit longer stage, but you usually come here a little bit later in your run due to you need to have Jet for this stage. Unless you're doing Needle first, then
Unless you're
you would come
Darko.
here earlier. But you want to have Jet for this stage because the last screen of the stage with all those cloud platforms, it's agonizingly slow if you do not have Jet. So definitely for the speed run, this is a no-brainer. You really don't want to come here without Jet. And even these previous screens, like you can see how it saves the runner's time. Even though they're not really screens you would think to use Jet in, it is still faster. Yo, nice gap jump. Ooh, Ppotdot actually wasting time trying to be cool, firing his dog. And he actually loses some frames there.
Yo, can you believe these slide cancels in Mega Man 3 right now?
I don't know, they're pretty sloppy right now.
I'll say.
I don't think I've seen a slide cancel better than Fasta's one frame slide where it looks like you can't even see him turn left. For a Mega Man 6 runner, he should be ashamed. Just gonna say
Absolutely ashamed.
No, but those slide cancels are pretty cool. Richard does get his Magna kill, thankfully. It was a little scary there on health, but as you can see there, that long walk back to the center is going to cost him a few seconds.
And you did see the use of Jet there at the last of Snack. Okay, Snack Man, yeah. I'm stuck on that now.
Yeah.
Now
I'm hungry, thanks.
Right. Hey, I brought snacks. I prepared.
I don't see them. I got water, it's fine. I'll just snack on my water.
Snack on water. Alright, it's a good plan.
But yeah, Mega Man 3 is done for Ppotdot, so he's off to 4.
But yeah, anyway, you saw use of Jet there, and what he does, like you said, he jumps off the top of the screen to reduce a lot of lag on that screen, makes it a lot faster.
Yeah, you want to do that. Normally in casual play even, you want to jump off rush just because you're saving ammo, but at the top of the screen there, it's even more beneficial because you remove Mega Man off the screen, and just taking his sprite off the screen, yeah, just reduces that lag. Alright, let's see. Moment of truth. Yo, nice fly. That's a very nice fly.
Yeah.
He can be a jerk sometimes and put some bullets in your way, but realistically though, I mean, if your movement is good, actually, you will never be hit by that guy. But it does require pretty good movement to beat the bullets sometimes, so luckily Ppotdot gets a good pattern and doesn't have to worry about it. So he's got his balloon.
Now, Ppotdot is going Pharaoh first, and most people will go Bright first. Would you explain the difference between the two?
I will in a second. I just want to point out, we kind of missed it now, but Richard had some pretty sweet top kills. He was using top spin to kill the monkeys.
See that.
That was not a normal strat, and so it's always cool to see some of the different strats people come up with.
Honestly, I like top spin as a weapon. I really do.
Yeah, top spin is actually surprisingly good. A lot of people think it's not because of the glitch that can happen on Shadow, but it actually is a very powerful weapon and it kills a lot of things. So, but yeah, going back to what you were saying, there's not a huge difference between Pharaoh and Bright. Pharaoh is potentially about 2 to 3 seconds faster if you get good luck and execute the fights correctly. Like, if you're not executing the Pharaoh and the Bright Man fight, well, if you're not executing the Bright Man fight correctly with the double hits with Pharaoh shot, it's not a faster route. So it does require you to play very well and know how to do the fights, or the route you might as well be doing Bright first if you don't.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier that way.
Yeah, it's a very small time difference. So again, like if your execution is not great, or if let's say you like to go for that coil jump over the balloon hold to make sure you get the balloon and stuff, like doing those kinds of things will basically make the route irrelevant in this tournament. Like it's a very small difference. So 2 stages left for Richard as he's off to Snake, and Ppotdot is already into stage 2 and 4, Bright Man. Those 2 routes, I guess I should point out, the 2 routes in 4, Bright first and Pharaoh first, the reason those 2 routes exist is because those are the 2 most broken weapons in this game. Pharaoh Shot and Flash Stopper are the 2 weapons that are going to be heavily used in Mega Man 4. You'll see Flash Stopper is very useful because you'll freeze enemies in place, and it lasts for 5 seconds, but if you keep sliding, the timer doesn't count down while you're sliding, so if you can keep your movement very clean and your slide chaining good, you can essentially make a Flash Stopper last for an entire screen, even if it's like a really long screen, so it's very useful. And then Pharaoh Shot has a sort of glitch. I don't really... I mean, it is a glitch, that's really what it is, but like it's something that I even knew about when I was a kid, so I don't really know how secretive it is.
Right.
Like, I figured it out when I was like 9 years old, so I'm sorry. I'm sure other people did too, but if you charge something over your head, a full charge, and you hit something with it, and the charge goes away, as long as you don't let go of B, you will still be holding a full charge. So essentially you'll be getting 2 full charges for the price of 1. So just those 2 things alone, those sort of 2 glitches in how Flash Stopper and Pharaoh Shot work, that's why those routes exist, because They allow us to kill some of the other bosses faster, like Pharaoh Shot on Brightman, which you're going to see Ppotdot do here in a second. And they allow us to move through the stages very fast and not have to worry about too many enemies with Flash Stoppers. So, Brightman actually has an ability to flash you and freeze you, similar to his weapon that you get, but he only uses it at set HP intervals, so Ppotdot's going to try, hopefully, to fight him here. He's actually not doing it, actually, so he might get flashed here, but he uses it at set HP values, so as long as Ppotdot hits him and keeps him in certain HP values, he shouldn't get flashed, but he is getting flashed here, and he's going to die because he doesn't have a tank. Mega Man 4 bosses dealing a lot of damage with their bodies.
8 damage.
Yeah, most of them deal 8 damage with their bodies, so there you see that flash just due to that keeping Brightman not in those correct HP values, and so he takes a death. It's about maybe a 40-second death. Actually, it's probably more than a 40-second death, because he's going to try to fight him with Pharaoh again, so it's going to, in the end, probably cost him more time. Consider the values are 16, 8, and 4. So when Brightman has 16, 8, and 4 health remaining, he will use it. As you see there, he's got 8 health left right now, so that's why he got flashed. And Ppotdot's using Bright. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say there. That was not the best decision. Much better off to just fight him with Buster on your second time. Like, all those pauses to try to use Pharaoh just to use it cost him a lot of time. The menu in 4, this is the first game where the menu actually loads up pretty slow. It's a full sort of screen menu, unlike 2 and 3 and 1. And so every time you pause the game, you're losing about a second and a half. So some actual extra time loss there, kind of unfortunate. He might have just done that too because he felt he wanted to do the fight with Pharaoh.
Maybe.
Yeah, I unfortunately lost him some time.
Still is ahead of its splits, just not nearly as much, unfortunately.
Oh man.
We get to see the first use of the balloon, like, in what speedrun would use it for, with the climbing.
Yeah, so you did see, Ppotdot did get the balloon in Pharaoh. You saw him use it at the beginning here of Ring. It's not going to get used a whole lot in 8 robots, so it doesn't actually save very much time, since we're only doing the first 8 stages, but it saves about 10 seconds across the 2 stages that you're going to use it in, which is Ring and Skull. It's basically the item 1 from Mega Man 2, except that you can do a few more things with it. The balloon will actually push you into a ceiling if you basically use it and then slide on it up by a roof. But the thing is, in Mega Man 4 is they made it so that if you're zipping, you die. So if you're gonna do that, you need to have invincibility frames, and you'll see probably Ppotdot go for a zip and Skull. Taking a death there, that's not a bad one, but
right at the checkpoint room, but still not
death, though.
Not the best after the Bright issue.
Yeah. So, yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought there, but yeah, essentially the balloon is pretty useful because it's similar, again, to item 1. You can scale things vertically pretty fast, but it also has another use, is that even if the balloon is despawning, like if you put it in a wall, as long as you can move a little bit closer to it and actually be sort of like over top of that despawning sprite, you actually can still jump off of that balloon until that sprite disappears. So a properly executed wall jump balloon, you have like a full 9 frames to jump off it, which is like a 1/6 of a second. That's quite a bit of time.
That's plenty of time.
Yeah, in a speedrunning setting, like usually like we consider like 2, 3, 4 frame tricks that have, you know, solid visual cues. We usually consider those to be pretty easy. So having 9 frames, which is like over double that, it's
a billion years.
It's a long time. Yeah, you definitely have plenty of time to execute them. The one nice thing, I guess you could say, with Ppotdot dying to Ring stage there is he had more health for the actual boss fight. That boss fight is kind of a little scary, especially for people that aren't really experienced in this game. So, made that fight a little bit safer, I guess, for Ppotdot.
We are seeing the other route with Richard going to Bright first versus Fairman.
Yeah, so he's gonna do the other route. The big difference here now is you'll see Richard will have Flash Stopper for Pharaoh, so he'll be able to use Flash Stopper in the first couple screens. And it basically eliminates any of the RNG from the flies, and it prevents those scorpions from being able to spawn. And so it reduces a lot of lag, and he can just slide and not have to worry about any enemies. It's the main benefit of the route.
He's gotta be careful though, he's got pretty low health going into this Bright fight.
He does, he's only got 4 HP, which means he's one-shottable by even a bullet, so he can't get hit here.
A dodge.
Okay. He's actually getting a pretty crappy pattern too. So for that's really unfortunate.
Really unfortunate.
Brightman can do basically two things. He can shoot you, or he can jump at you. And it is random what you get, what he decides to do. He's one of the random bosses of this game. But for Buster, you really want him to shoot at you, because he'll stay low, and then you can constantly get your Buster shots in, and charge shots in. Whereas if you're fighting him with Pharaoh Shot, you actually want him to jump, because it makes it easier to hit him with the charge above your head, so... It's kind of interesting that, there are the two different fights, and you actually want different patterns depending on how you're fighting him.
Yeah, there's a few of those in the series, like, depending on how you decide to fight a certain boss.
Gotta be careful here. That's gonna drop him into an HP value. He's gonna get flashed unless he can get a charge off here. He's shoot him! Oh man, maybe we do need a Dan's Buster emote.
Oh, he gets it. Okay.
Alright. Alright, okay.
We're fine.
That was a bit of a stressful fight there, but Richard is through. And meanwhile, in that time frame, Ppotdot is through Dust as well, so...
Gold splits it even, it looks like.
Arguably, the four most, I guess, the four harder stages, in my opinion, to get through are out of the way now. So Ppotdot's going to the more fun stages of Mega Man 4 now. It's very similar, like, Mega Man 4 and 6 are actually similar in that I think your big roadblock in an RTA setting is the first 4 stages.
Yeah. Oh,
so here's
wow.
that zip. Oh, so
That's
he went a little early. So that's what I'm talking about there. The devs made it so that Mega Man would die if you zip. So because Ppotdot did not take damage in time, he zipped too early, basically, and it killed him. So you need to time your balloon here so you take damage like that, and that way, instead of killing you, the game just pushes you through the wall. It was basically their way to counter zipping, which they hadn't figured out a counter for yet in Mega Man 1, 2, or 3.
What I want to know is who back then figured out zipping.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That they actually felt the need to take it out.
Well, I think, honestly, probably they might not have discovered it in the original ones. I think it was pretty easy to figure out in this game, because the balloon pushes you into the ceiling so easily that I think they probably figured it out just from testing.
Probably.
Like, just to zip in this game is so easy. Just get on a balloon very close to the ceiling, just slide there, and like slide on a balloon while you're up on a balloon near the ceiling. That's about it, and you'll zip.
Oh, we got another unfortunate death for Ppotdot.
So that means he's gonna be on his last life here, I think.
No, he's had a couple of Mega Man 5 references.
Yeah, he got a 1-up. Yeah, Mega Man 4 1-up drops are actually pretty frequent.
Yeah.
Arguably, I would say that they are almost as frequent as Mega Man 5. It's just you don't notice them as much because you usually don't kill as many enemies in 4, so it appears like there's less, but in reality, they're actually
the same.
Pretty close.
Or close to it.
Skullman is another basically very low RNG boss. You manipulate him for the entire fight, so you basically want to get him to the center of the screen, sort of what Ppotdot's trying to do right now, and that allows you to get your kill. The only RNG in that fight is how long he holds his shield up, so Ppotdot didn't get a great pattern, but boss kill location, everything was solid. Good. Yeah, I know that is what a lot of people say, reflect. Usually why people have issues with Pharaoh is because Pharaoh is programmed in a way to be difficult if you try to run away from him. Like, if you try to stay further away from Pharaoh, he will give you very difficult, aggressive patterns. Whereas if you stay closer to him, he actually gives you a lot more timid pattern, I guess. Like, he'll do the really high jumps where he doesn't shoot anything at you, or he'll just stand there and charge, and you just jump over it. So, casually as a kid, Pharaoh always seemed a lot harder just because of that. Because a lot of people like to try to stay as far away from the boss as possible, and he's really programmed in a way to counter that. And so that's why a lot of people had issues with him, usually when they were growing up. And you see Richard actually electing to use Bright for that first half, even though he has balloons, so still not really even a bad choice. And Ppotdot using Flash Stopper again. You can just see how broken Flash Stopper is. Just freezing all the enemies in place just makes it super easy to make your way through the stages.
It's really important in this stage to conserve some for those whales, though. That way you can kill them before they even spawn.
Yeah, you can kill them with Buster, but yeah, like if you're already on Bright anyway, you want to be able to save some Flash Stopper there so you can, yeah, like you said, freeze them and make them pretty easy.
So doing it in one jump, that's the hard part.
Yeah, it's a little tricky. If you freeze them at the right height, it's not too terrible. They have 14 health, so it is quite a few hits, but for the top mashers like Darko, I'm sure it's probably pretty easy. Ooh, Ppotdot taking a death right at the end too, so he should, at this point now, if Ppotdot hopefully knows, he doesn't. Maybe. So Ppotdot's best option here would be to menu to Dust. Dust actually deals 3 damage to Dive Man. That's a very, very good backup. It's one of the few bosses you can actually use another weapon.
Oh, it does it
as a good backup. He is going to menu over to it now, but unfortunately that extra menu is going to cost him the time, because he didn't have enough Skull to make using Skull worthwhile there, unfortunately. But it's okay. He uses Dust to finish him off. He doesn't quite get the pixel, but that's alright.
As long as he's through.
Yeah, it's kind of weird actually that they made a weapon deal 3 damage to another. Like, it's not an actual weakness. So I'm not really sure why they gave Dive Man a weakness, another weapon that dealt 3 damage to him, but it's the only boss that has like a secondary weakness that deals more than 2 damage, so it's kind of an interesting one. I guess they wanted to give players an option to not use Skull Barrier on Dive Man, because, I mean, you do have to get pretty close to him, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, and since it'll eat it, eat the barrier that you have as soon as you take that hit, oh, that's 8 damage done immediately.
Yeah, he does still deal 8 damage. Yeah, so it's pretty scary. Yeah, this is the last race of tonight. There are 6 races, I think, tomorrow, though, so if you guys like Mega Man, tomorrow is going to be a really busy day. There's going to be a lot of races going on, so definitely keep your eyes peeled on both this channel and the Speedruns Live channel for some potential restreams going on.
And Ppotdot chooses to take the damage boost across the spikes. Now, you said to me that it's actually slower to do that, right?
It is, yeah. If you can take a couple extra hits off the bullets, it's faster to still take an extra damage boost and go up the normal way. If you go down the spike path and climb the ladder from the bottom, you lose quite a bit of time. Just like in Mega Man 2, any Mega Man really, it's just, you're so much better off to try to scale ladders if you can jump that distance as opposed to actually climbing the ladders. Climbing ladders is always really slow. Richard gets an actually pretty decent pattern, gets the kill in the middle of the room, so pretty fortunate. Ppotdot's getting a dive here. I didn't see if he got one earlier either, so I'm not sure if that's the first one or not, but
Now this is the real dive, man.
Yeah, drill can be a pain, but typically he doesn't give you too bad of a pattern. I very rarely see more than 2 dives, and I rarely see, honestly, like, I find that it's about a 50-50 chance most of the time when I fight him that I get a dive, and then the other 50% it's like sort of a split, like 25% he gave me 1, the other 25% he gave me 2. So it's,
right.
As much as people like to complain about the RNG from him, I don't really think he's that terrible, but
nah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm being insensitive. I don't know.
He's totally
played this game a lot, so
if he dives.
Yeah, if he continues the dive, he's a very, very easy fight. As long as you time out and know exactly when he comes out of the ground, it's pretty easy.
No, I don't think we talked about this yet. Using Bright and why you can use one use of it to get through a full screen when you normally need to use 2 or 3.
Yeah, I mentioned it, but
did you? Okay.
Yeah, you can go ahead and explain it again because we're seeing it sort of used pretty heavily here.
Yeah. So what Ppotdot is doing, he's using Bright, and for some reason, it's coded that if you slide while you are using it, it doesn't actually use up the timer that's on it. So you can just continuously slide and just use one single use of it and continuously slide forever, potentially.
Yeah, if you can chain your slides really well, then yeah, you just make the flash last a lot longer.
Now we see Ppotdot using the flash stopper to actually skip these snail mini bosses. That's not that hard to do, but new people to the game will often try to mash through those screen transitions to try and get it as fast as they can. But if you actually do it on the first frame possible, you end up soft locking the game instead.
Not always. Not always.
Okay.
It depends. If the person menus as they're falling into the screen, then yes, it will be a soft lock. Because how it works is, if you freeze the boss on the frame he becomes active, that's how you get the soft lock. And so, for whatever reason, he becomes active on the very first frame if you menu as you're falling into the room. And it's not even like necessarily like you menu as you're falling. It's like if you menu anywhere in that jump arc, like it'll happen. You have to menu on the ground and then jump in. If you don't menu as you fall in, the first active frame is the frame you touch the ground. So a good practice actually for new runners is to mash as you fall into the room, because that's usually the way you do it. But if you die and respawn, you have to make sure that you menu before you're falling into the room, basically. Otherwise, then you get that.
So it's in relation to the menu instead, I see.
Yep.
The more you know.
Yeah, it's all about the when he becomes active. Ooh, Ppotdot doesn't make that jump. So we're into Mega Man 5 now, and Starman stage has the low gravity. Makes that jump sometimes a little tricky. You're sort of, coming out of Mega Man 4, obviously this is the first sort of big physics change when it comes to jumps other than water physics, I guess. And so you have to quickly adjust on the fly, and those spikes can get you. We saw yesterday, actually, one of the runners accidentally die in this stage twice, and miraculously enough, they did not get a 1-up drop, and they game overed in crystals, so hopefully we don't see that happen again.
A couple things to note otherwise between the two games, like, for one, the charge is different. Versus what Mega Man 4's is. It's a lot wider, and also if you take a hit, you actually lose the charge, unlike Mega Man 4.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit... You have to be a little more careful now. Dodging becomes a little more important, and the nice thing about 5 is the Charge Buster does charge up faster, so it makes some of the Buster fights, like you see with Starman here, a little bit faster than it would be if it was in like Mega Man 4 or 6.
Now there is one downside to that too, though, and that's the fact that you cannot charge while you're sliding in Mega Man 5. You have to be walking.
Yeah, you have to kind of slow yourself down a little bit sometimes in this game. Ooh, Richard, a little unfortunate there for Richard. He was actually on the pixel, and he walked off of it. Kind of unfortunate. I think he maybe had a incorrect visual for it, or he just wasn't going for it at all.
Or just second guessed it or something.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't really talk about pixels in Mega Man 4, but it's not a really big thing, especially in a long category like this, but there is a spot, 2 pixels in every boss room that you want to try to line yourself up with after defeating the boss. And it just skips part of the animation for the weapon get. So it's not a huge time save, but across all 8 bosses, well, I guess only 7 in this category, you would save maybe about 5 or 6 seconds if you got them all. So Ppotdot threw Starry's into gravity, and you can see he's on the super arrow right now. This is the main reason why Starman is this route in Mega Man 5 is really set in stone. Yeah. No pun intended.
Set in star.
Exactly. And that's why. Like, you get this super arrow from Starman stage, and it's utilized everywhere in every other stage. It's very good, like the balloon, for going upwards very quickly. And it's also like the item 2 in Mega Man 2 in that you can use it to go horizontally very fast as well. So some of those long screens you saw Ppotdot just flying over them. It's just very, very useful weapon. Gravity's fight here has 0 RNG. It's 100% the same way every time, so Ppotdot knows exactly where to go. It's an easy fight.
Richard making good use of Bright through the last screen of Drill makes that screen a lot easier to go through if you don't know how to get through it otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, again, freezing enemies in place and going through the rooms without having to worry about them is kind of a nice change of pace in comparison to some of the other games.
Dive missile, please.
Yeah, missile is actually a surprisingly good weapon if you know how to fire it, but a lot of runners will fire it from the ground. You saw Richard actually doing that. He's shooting missile from the ground, and for whatever reason, missile fired from ground level is programmed terribly. It'll basically, what it's actually designed to do is it's sort of meant to like go towards Drillman and then angle up and go around him and hit him in behind. And you would think that's kind of wrong because it's like, well, why wouldn't you just go directly at him, right? Well, it's actually designed that way on purpose because if Drillman fires a drill at you, drills will actually reflect missiles. So the missile is actually designed that way on purpose so that it will go around the missile and still hit Drillman from the back. But from a speedrun perspective, that's incredibly annoying. And if people don't know that, it can cost you quite a bit of extra time, give you extra dives. You really want to jump up sort of just above Drillman and angle the missile sort of down into his hitbox. And that makes the missile sort of behave exactly how you want it to, and makes the fight a lot faster and a lot easier. So I didn't see Ppotdot die again, so he should have an extra life here, which is important because we're gonna do a pretty fancy death warp skip here.
I see 3 lives.
Crystal. Oh yeah, he's been getting the 1-ups. Standard Mega Man 5 run. Gyro Man, as you see Ppotdot fighting him here now, is actually sort of the Drill Man of Mega Man 5. But fortunately, unlike Mega Man 4, this Drill Man type fight is he's weak to a weapon that hits the entire screen. So even if he does fly way up in the air where you would normally not be able to hit him, it's perfectly fine because we can just stay on the ground in the corner and keep shooting. Richard into the last room of Mega Man 4. It's going to use Jet here, I guess.
Jet is a little different when it comes to 4 and 5 compared to 3. 3 is kind of broken, the jet that it gets. You can fly anywhere. 4 and 5, you kind of land on it and then it just continuously
goes on its own, yeah. Having some issues with these fish here, but finally does get on Jet. Yeah. So yeah, like, he's not controlling Jet. Once you get on Jet like that, he just flies on his own, like Tarek said, so Ppotdot's got this skip, I think. Oof. Had some extra lag there from that bouncing ball. I wasn't sure if that was going to be an issue or not, but... Showing off the incredibly pixelated Mad Nerd. We'll be seeing him in Mega Man 6.
Welcome our Mad Nerd overlords. Now, what's
Richard
going
into the
on?
Toadman fight and finishing Mega Man 4.
That's the hardest fight in all of Classic Mega, by the way.
That's what I've heard from Terex multiple times. I don't believe it.
I mean, you ask Tonic. He can vouch for me.
I'm not convinced.
Not convinced? Dang.
No.
In any case, we're doing a lot of waiting on Ppotdot's screen.
Yeah, it's a pretty confusing trick, but essentially what you're doing is you're dying. So those you saw the two enemies walking back and forth. The one had the ball above his head, the other one did not. Basically, you're dying on the frame that the second one spawns, and because of that, the ball doesn't actually spawn because all of Mega Man's death sprites enter this go on screen at the same frame, and for whatever reason, it makes that not spawn. And it basically just messes with the memory a little bit, and for whatever reason, it respawns you at the checkpoint room. It's about the way he did it with the arrow setup. It's about a 9-second time save as opposed to actually playing the stage. So it's kind of a weird skip, but it's sort of just a memory thing. Ooh, Richard. We've seen a couple of deaths like that. Jumping too high into the spikes.
I will never get enough of a Napalm song. I love the song too much.
Napalm is pretty good. Something to note, Mega Man 5 is not like the other ones with regard to enemies. Every single enemy in this game has invincibility frames, so unlike Mega Man 3, where you see a ton of mashing, this game is almost the opposite. You see almost no mashing in this game because everything has iframes. So
it's more like rhythmic instead.
Yep, it's more about timing your shots, and getting your shots sort of at a set rate as opposed to just shooting as fast as you can.
Now, you have seen these letters lying around in each of the stages, but not normally in a speedrun we'd pick all those up to collect beat, but since we're only doing the 8 robots, beat isn't actually useful until later, so we're not going to bother with those. It'll just waste time if we do that.
Yeah. Beat is also in Mega Man 6 as well, but again, he's actually even worse in 6. He's actually even worse in 6 than he is in 5, so we won't be collecting him in 6 either.
No 100% runs today?
Nope. Stupid bird.
Stupid bird. Now, one interesting thing to note about Crystal Eye in relation to Napalm, it is his actual weakness, but it only does 3 damage instead of the normal 4. It's the only one in the game that does that.
Interestingly enough, though, if you get kind of lucky with how they bounce around, Crystal Eye breaks into 3 pieces when it hits a wall, and all 3 of those pieces do max damage. So, assuming that all 3 hit Napalm Man, you could, in theory, deal 9 damage with 1 ammo.
Right.
So, in a speedrun, obviously, it's not ideal, but casually, something to keep in mind.
Another thing to mention here with Mega Man 5, the Mets are a lot different in this game. First, they decided to... I don't know why, but in this game, whenever you kill them, they decide to spawn 3 baby Mets instead of, just dying.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a nice touch because...
It's different.
All these games, you go through all these games, and you see a lot of repeat enemies, and you become a little bit complacent, I think. You shoot a Met, and you just expect the Met to die, because they've been in Mega Man 1, they've been in Mega Man 2, 3, 4, they've got a sort of a running gag, I think, going with them about how easy they die. So in 5, they just went, you know what?
Nah,
let's make it so that when they die, they spawn 3 little things, and obviously nobody's ready for it the first time. I don't think too many people realize it's going to happen, and those little Mets just come out so fast that usually you're going to get hit the first few times you fight them.
I'm gonna backtrack just slightly. Ppotdot killed Squeaks. It is very important that we mention this.
Yeah, agreed. Squeaks is one of the little mice in Stone Man.
Just one of those
Having
enemies
some
that,
issues here on gravity. It's got enough for one more hit. It's gonna have to finish him off with Buster here. HP is a little bit low, but it's gonna be fine. Center kill, unfortunately, that's only good in Mega Man 3 and 4. Stone Man is fairly easy. As long as you stay close to him, he'll just keep jumping. So
The unhappy stone.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Ppotdot getting a pretty bad pattern, but not much you can do. It's RNG.
Yeah, you're hoping for him to get some small jumps in, because then he doesn't actually crumble and you can continuously hit him, but just RNG. So there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. I do want to point out that Ppotdot is now heading to Chargeman stage, and he has dedicated his chicken room to Zodanor. So congratulations, Zoda.
Yeah, congrats, Zoda.
I hope you enjoy this chicken room, because it's dedicated to you.
Let's hope it's a good one anyway. Oh, Richard having some issues. Richard has an arrow bounce off of the shield and take him off the one he was on.
Yeah, gotta be careful of that. You wouldn't think that that would hit you, because in most cases your ammunition doesn't affect Mega Man in any of the other games. But
but arrow does, and
arrow, yeah, can knock you off of other arrows. So you gotta be careful of that. And he didn't get his arrow in the first train room, so he's gonna have to go through this. But here we go into his chicken room. So here we go. This is for you, Zoda. Ooh, another death in Gyro. So back to the checkpoint room, unfortunately for Richard. This is a really miserable stage. I don't think too many people enjoy Gyro stage. And unfortunately that ammo is not there this time, so he's still got to do Buster in this room. I think he maybe thought that the ammo would respawn because he had menued.
And I see something happening with Richard that happens to, I think, most Mega Man 6 runners and some others as well. In a few of the Mega Man games, I'm not sure which ones specifically, it messes me up most in 5, but you can't jump and grab ladders above the screen. Like, you know, for me coming from 6, I can do that. And I die to these ladders all the time because I just jump right over them thinking I can grab the ladder.
Yeah, I think you jump over ladders, I want to say, in 3, 4, and 5. I think you can grab, well, off-screen, you can grab in 1 and 2 for sure. And then, I guess, in 6 as well. I don't think you can grab ladders off-screen in 3. But you can't in 4 or 5.
Oh, that is really unfortunate.
Dang.
He just barely clips underneath it and gets squished.
At least this time he had the checkpoint, but yeah, that's really too bad. Ppotdot's into Wave, his final stage of Mega Man 5. It is interesting how Mega Man 5 ends, because I think Chargeman is one of the most fun stages to play, especially because of the chicken room and stuff like that. It's got a pretty terrible boss, but the stage is really fun. And then you play Wave, and it's like the complete opposite. It's got huge auto-scrolling sections. I mean, the only really interesting thing going on in this stage, in my opinion, is this bubble skip, which you see him doing right now. And just misses
the
it.
second part.
Just landing on that bubble a little bit too early.
Looks like he's gonna wait it out then.
Riding the bubbles here. See if he goes for the backup. Nope, he's just gonna ride the bubbles.
Oh, I wonder if he's gonna go for boat skip.
He's got plenty of arrow for it, so I can't see why he wouldn't. Yep, he's got the 2. No, he's just gonna ride it.
Just gonna ride it, which is still faster, of course, but boat skip being, if you fire some arrows there, you can slide off of them and then jump through that screen transition. without actually getting on the boat, which allows you to have free movement. You use your charge and everything. It's really handy. However, if you land on the ground, or I guess on the water before the screen transition, you'll actually end up infinitely going into an animation where Mega Man tries to get on the boat, and you'll soft lock the game.
Yeah. And, I mean, it doesn't save much time either. The boat skip only saves about 1 second, so it's... I mean, you gotta be confident that you're gonna get it. Richard setting up the crystal warp.
Oh!
Ooh, that ball is coming back here. He's gonna have to be a little bit careful. It's the dodge. That's a little scary.
Alright, he's got it.
He's got the right height on the arrow, so yeah, he's got it. making him sort of have to react a little bit there. Hey,
doing it.
There he is. So yeah, it's a pretty long. The death warp itself, like it's pretty long. You gotta wait this out for about 40 to 45 seconds. So there's not much more to really do except relax, grab a drink of water, whatever you gotta do.
Luckily, I have some water here.
Yeah, there you go. Ppotdot finishing up Wave Man here. So 1 game to go. And guess which one it is?
It is his best game, Mega Man 6. He is the world record holder in this game.
Yeah, so expect some pretty good fast play from him here.
However, it is a bit difficult.
How will his room 1 be?
That's true. How will the pandas be?
Here we go. Let's see.
And that's decent.
That's acceptable.
Yeah. It wasn't perfect, but it's acceptable.
Yeah.
By Ppotdot standards, rather.
Yeah, agreed.
Now, it is a bit difficult going from 5 to 6 because 6 changes a lot with its physics. 6 makes you, like, really, really heavy compared to the other games, and you can't jump out of a slide like you could in 3, 4, and 5. You actually cancel if you hit A. So all the optimization that comes with 6 is trying to cancel your slides well and fast enough so you can jump out of them.
Ppotdot trying to go for clutch jumps, actually, just trying to show them off,
yeah.
But showing exactly why they're called clutch jumps, because they're very tight, so when you pull them off, it's a very difficult thing to do.
And clutch jumps being where you slide on that 1-block flip platform, and again, you have to slide cancel, so you have to slide cancel and then jump off of it in order to actually continue.
Yeah,
before it flips.
3 times, it's not an intuitive set of inputs for sure. I know some people think that you just mash A there, but they're wrong.
You definitely do not. Once upon a time, I used to do turn cancels on that. I don't recommend it.
Yeah, I don't think I would recommend that either. Ooh, Richard having some issues setting up these arrows. That bullet has been chasing him that whole screen. Looks like he's gonna have to take a D-boost here to get up the ladder.
He gets the strategic off-the-screen despawn from the helicopter.
Yeah. See this nice little wind dance from Ppotdot right now. That's not just for swag, actually. Mega Man 6 is kind of special in that every time you slide, you actually cut a frame off of how long your charge buster takes. So every time you see him do one of those little slides, he's actually shaving frames off and getting a full charge on the buster a little bit faster. It's actually a really cool fight to see when you watch a TAS do it, because the TAS obviously can just wiggle incredibly fast to save those frames. So I highly recommend, if you haven't seen the Mega Man 6 TAS, just load up the Windman fight and just watch it. It's pretty incredible. But here we go into Flame Perfect.
It's a miss.
I think it's already been missed, unfortunately. But yeah, I agree.
It definitely has.
With that jump.
Yeah.
So there's sort of a running joke here that someday we're gonna see literally the perfect Flame Man stage, and it's been dubbed Flame Perfect, but we haven't seen it yet. So least
However,
Roland was
Roland-
nice.
Yeah, Roland was nice.
Roland has been... you know what? You know what? I'm gonna say it. Roland's been a jerk.
He has been.
Roland has been sniping people all tournament long, and I'm sick of it. So, you know what?
It's about time.
If this is a new Roland that we're seeing, allowing Ppotdot to get over without getting hit, then I'm all for it.
Absolutely. Roland being one of those cloud enemies there, he just at random can fire and hit you, and you can do absolutely nothing about it if you're trying to go as fast as you can.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just random whether he snipes you, and unfortunately for the speedrunners, obviously since you're trying to go fast, you just go for it every time, and so it's just sort of, it feels like it's about a 50-50, but some people might disagree with me, but I really do feel like it's pretty much a 50-50 whether he shoots you or not. Sometimes I even think it's less than that, but then I'm told I'm wrong, so... But Flame is already down, so Ppotdot making quick work already of these first two stages in Mega Man 6, so nothing too surprising there.
It was a decent fight. Flame Man tends to jump a lot, and he gave him a couple of low jumps rather than the high ones, so that was good.
Yeah. Yeah, surprisingly, actually, a lot of people don't realize this. I think, you know, people will crucify Mega Man 4 a lot when it comes to RNG.
Yeah.
But 6 has a surprising amount of RNG in it.
It
And
does.
it's not like, oh, here's your boss that's really bad. I mean, Blizzard is kind of like that, but it's not like, okay, here's your one boss that loses you all your time. It's every single boss in Mega Man 6 will cost you time and frames everywhere. Like Terex was saying with Flame, he does those high jumps sometimes, and a lot of bosses do that. Knight will do that. Tomahawk can do that. And so you really don't want the bosses to be, you know, doing those high jumps, because when they're way up there, you can't hit them. So there's actually a surprising amount of RNG in this game. No big 17-second time losses, but I mean, you'll lose 4 seconds here, you'll lose 6 seconds there, you'll lose, you know, 3 seconds
Everything
here.
adds up.
It adds up pretty fast, so...
Blizzard's a really interesting stage, actually. Most people are like, oh, ice physics, that, you know, that's a terrible thing. In this stage with the sliding, it actually works in a really
Margarine?
weird way. Oh, Margarine Pit, no!
Yep. We got Margarine Pit.
Yeah. Margarine Pit is something that you can't necessarily control. Most of the time you're free to go down through that, but sometimes it just clips you down instead and you die for it.
I was gonna say that, I mean, I don't know what you would call that, because that's not even low-fat butter.
No.
So
I
there's,
can't believe it's not butter.
Yeah, I guess. So there's a strat that involves going very fast through that submarine room, and you get over the sub in one cycle before you hit the spikes, and we have dubbed that we've called that getting butter.
Smooth as butter.
Yeah. I think that's what it was, right? You guys said that was smooth as butter one time,
I think
and it sort of stuck.
I think it was Raiden that said that. Ppotdot had the idea, I was the first one to do it, and then Ppotdot or I was practicing it, and I think it was Raiden that came in and just said that, and it stuck.
Yeah, so, there's actually, Mega Man 6 is kind of cool, because it's actually got quite a few, random names out there that a lot of the other games sort of don't have, so...
It had a pretty good Blizzard pattern.
So it's kind of cool. Yeah, decent.
Only one roll.
Here we go, chicken room number 2.
It is another chicken room.
Not sure if we got a dedication for this one or not. I didn't see one, but at least we got one. That's sort of how I feel. It's nice to see at least one dedication every race. But yeah, this chicken room is probably my favorite room of Mega Man 5. Just the actual like movement through it and using Crystal Eye it's really cool to see it done well.
Let's see if Ppotdot can get this turret bullet or not. He gets the late bullet, good, which means he can slide underneath it. It is possible to slide if he fires the bullet early, but as far as I know, it's frame perfect. Ppotdot's done it, I think, a single time.
It's pretty difficult. I watched him practice it for about 4 hours one day, and I think he got it twice.
Oh, did he actually get it a couple more times?
Yeah, it was an interesting stream because not the kind of stream that most people would want to watch, because it was literally that screen over and over and over and over again, over and over. I have to like iterate over and over again. Like it was a lot of
you gotta
one
test
slide, like couple slides up, charge buster shot, and basically getting hit. And yeah, I think in about 4 hours he got it about 2 times or so. So it was. I mean, I found it interesting, but.
Oh no, he clicks on the platforms and game overs to it even. Now what happened there, the platforms, you're supposed to actually shoot those open with Buster or a couple of other weapons like the power suit will open it, for example. Flame does not open those. So it's slow to swap back to Buster when you can actually stand on those before you open them. However, you only have 4 frames to stand on those, given that you have no left or right inputs. If you're holding left or right, if you stand on them, it actually reduces it down to 2 frames. So what he has to do is he has to jump on those multiple times in a row, 4 frames each to survive.
Yeah, the game definitely did not want Mega Man to be standing on them, so it does try to push you off. But thankfully there's just enough time that we can go across them to be a little bit faster, which is nice. But yeah, I would say that this is probably the hardest stage of the 8 robots. It's especially if you're going for all these speed strats and these jumps. This is a pretty mean stage.
If not this, then Centaur is pretty up for debate for some people.
Yeah, Centaur has a couple jumps in it that are not overly great either. Ooh, we're looking good.
There we go.
So just the springs left. Again, never ever home free after getting platforms. You still have to get through these jumps. But it looks like Ppotdot is fine.
Yep.
That last one always looks really scary, but as long as you know your positioning on the spring,
yeah,
you definitely know when that you're gonna make it and when you're not.
Alright, now we need to ask him, or we need to see first, can he get the 6 hit?
He better.
He better.
There it is.
There it is. He gets the 6 hit.
Very nice fight.
I need everyone to type in chat right now, there is 6 hit.
No, that was a nice fight. It's very difficult to get that 6th hit in before Plant puts his shield back up. So the goal is always to get 6 hits there, but it's not an easy thing to do at all. Typically in a run for me, I prefer I aim for 5, and if I get 6, it's like an extra bonus. But yeah, definitely not easy.
We got Richard finishing up pretty soon here on Mega Man 5 as well. I think he's in the second half of the auto-scroller here on Wave.
Yeah.
And I think he's got plenty of health that he should be able to fight Wave Man without too much issue. Plus he has some extra lives, just like his one dropped there.
Right, yeah. Yeah, he should be fine, I think. Again, you see sort of a running thing through Mega Man 6. We use Flame a lot. That's not just because we like the weapon or anything, or that the fact that, you know, orange Mega Mans are cool. And Pharaoh Shot as well. But it actually deals a lot of damage. Flame does 4 damage to pretty much everything in the game. So being able to kill some of these mini bosses incredibly fast. Like these things die in 4 hits or whatever, or 5 or what is it? 4
hits.
I should know because I mashed
4 for the Met Dispenser.
let's face it. I really should know that. Yeah, I was pretty sure it was 4, but so, or like even like the gorillas in Plant Man stage, they have 24 health, so you have to hit them with 6 flames or 24 buster shots. So I mean, if you think about it that way, it's just an incredibly useful weapon, being able to kill enemies and things really quick. Like even an enemy that has like 2 health, you see he was going through like that checkpoint room here in Tomahawk where he can use like 1 flame to kill multiple enemies because it's so strong. If it doesn't have 4 health, it'll just go right through it.
And he gets a good start to Tomahawk. That you actually do want him to jump at the beginning so that he comes closer to you, you can hit him sooner.
Yeah. Yeah, not a lot of RNG in Tomahawk, but it's one of the little things.
So fighting him with Buster is probably one of, if not the hardest Buster fight, in my opinion, in Mega Man 6.
Yeah, 6 is like 5, where if you get hit, you'll lose your charge, so... and Tomahawk can be a little bit unpredictable. His pattern is pretty easy once you understand it, but when you don't know how it really works, it can be kind of annoying to fight.
When Richard is on Mega Man 6, this is more of a game he has played as well.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I don't think Richard did too terribly in Mega Man 5.
No, not at all.
I don't think he fell behind Ppotdot at all in 5.
I think he stayed behind Ppotdot one stage until maybe Mega Man 4? Maybe Mega Man 3?
He was a couple back after 3.
Yeah.
And I think he lost some time in 4, but 5 actually, I think they were pretty even. So... we're into Yamato with Ppotdot right now. He's basically 3 stages to go here, counting this one. So actually less than that now. This is the only stage that we actually go and get one of the beat letters because it is just a little bit shorter to go this way as opposed to the intended way. And it's the only time you're really going to see one of the rush adapters used. So kind of sad that in 8 Robots you don't really get to see them very much. They really shine in the castle stages, but
yes,
in this category we're only playing 8 Robots, so that's really the only time you're going to see Jet. The downside about having a rush adapter equipped in this game is you can't slide with them, so obviously if you don't need to do a whole ton of vertical movement, it's not really worth it because you want to be able to slide as much as you can.
I didn't see. Did he get hit at all in this fight?
I don't think so.
I don't think he did, which means he has passed the test. He did not get the fast.cc Yamato fight.
We gotta actually nail down a proper fight to put to that name, because I really do feel like there's a difference between even just getting hit once and
that is true.
Something that Facet does. Ooh, Richard actually killed Roland, so we'll see.
Take that, Roland.
We'll see if that
he's getting the revenge on all the other runs. Whoa, okay.
He's got to be careful here. These flame tellies are giving him some issues.
Yeah, having just enough iframes there to get back up onto the cloud.
Yeah, once... Oh, we just missed the edge. Once that oil, as you can tell there, once that oil is lit, it is like a insta-kill spike, so... Really...
He did the extra life back, at least.
He did, yeah. One little tiny consolation prize of having the 1-up drop right in front of...
killing Roland, I guess.
I guess so, yeah. That'll learn you.
Meanwhile, Ppotdot
from the grave.
He's in Nightman stage, and at the beginning there, you saw him slide very quickly underneath a ceiling there of spikes that cascades down. And it's a lot safer than it looks. If you pause at the right time, you can actually, or rather, the ceiling continues to move down as you pause. So you're actually quite safe when if you pause it at the right time, because then you can just switch to Yamato and kill the enemies as you go by, and the ceiling will just go back up to the top.
So, another death, unfortunately, at the same flame pit. Again, though, he killed Roland.
He did kill Roland.
I'm sensing a pattern. Two Roland kills, 2 deaths. Ppotdot flying through the bouncy castle room. Very nice.
He did also get Mad Nerds.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody noticed, but that image that Ppotdot keeps putting up on his screen is a picture of those enemies that are in Nightman stage that he likes to call Mad Nerds. They're technically not called Mad Nerds, but the name has pretty much stuck. I think everybody sort of likes it.
Mad Nerds is better than Brain Break.
Yeah.
And Richard, unfortunately, taking another death to the same pit.
Yeah, this is there it is. There it is.
There it is.
There's a reminder. That's the Mad Nerd right there. Yeah. Mad Nerds are interesting because they don't really have 2 HP. They take 2 hits. Like, there's only one thing in the game that will kill them in 1 hit, and that's actually Blizzard Attack. But even, like, you can shoot them with 2 small shots from the Buster, and they'll die that way. You can also hit them with a full charge shot. That will not kill them. You'll still have to hit them with a second shot. So they're kind of interesting in that they're sort of designed in a way to be kind of annoying in that you have to hit them a second time. Like, I think even Plant, right? Like, I think it takes 2 Plant hits.
Yeah, basically
like,
you're knocking
Blizzard is the
off,
only
like,
one.
his hat.
He's knocking his glasses off.
Glasses off, so
You're making him mad.
you're making him mad.
Obviously. Ooh, Richard getting kind of fortunate there. He actually did walk off that ledge, but Mega Man 6 is kind of nice in that you can sort of clip back onto edges if you're walking.
Jeez,
Just
Richard.
barely escaping another flame pit. It's a very, very terrifying stage, Flame is, when these pits get lit.
Okay.
He's through, though.
Okay.
He's on his last life, though, so he does have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile,
Pot
Ppotdot
halfway through his last stage.
already coming pretty much to an end here in Centaur. This pit that he's going over top of now is really... Ooh, and he got the drop,
That's
too.
rare. That is a rare drop.
That drop is not fun. But that's pretty much it there. He
Ladder
gets that
jump.
Ladder jump. There's no real other places in the stage that you can die, because you take this last D-boost on the squid, does about 2 damage if you get hit by the ice block there. And then it's just Centaur, and Centaur is a pretty easy fight.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of risk here.
Yeah, Centaur, at first, he'll either do one of 2 things. He'll either charge at you, or he'll teleport. He got the charge. That's exactly what we want. We want him to run.
Yeah.
So you can continuously hit him.
Ooh.
Oh, perfect pattern right
The no
there.
teleport pattern, yeah. Perfect.
That's time for Ppotdot.
GG. Race spot has him
Teleport.
at a 151.38.
GG.
Yeah, teleport costs about 2 seconds. I think that's what you're gonna say. And you can get up to about 3 teleports as the worst pattern, so potential 6 seconds to lose there, but Ppotdot getting lucky and getting none.
Now Richard on the Blizzard Man. I was trying to say earlier, while Ppotdot ended up having his unfortunate margarine pit, when you slide on ice in this, you can do one of 2 cancels. Remember, you can either turn cancel or you can A cancel. If you actually turn cancel while you're on the ice, you'll kind of rubber band back the way you came instead. So what you want to do is actually use A cancels, and you'll keep your forward momentum, and from there you can actually do reverse damage boosts and things. It actually kind of comes really cool when you can do that kind of stuff and not lose any momentum for it.
Yeah, I guess we hadn't mentioned that. Like, we did mention you have to cancel your slide, but yeah, that's sort of how you can do it. There's the 2 different ways, the turning or using the A button. If you are going to do A cancels, though, you have to sort of be careful, because you cannot cancel a slide with A if you're still holding down. Mm-hmm. So you do have to make sure that you're letting go of down on your D-pad if you're going to use an A cancel.
Whoa, he goes for bomb skip!
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, he got the double!
So...
Wow.
Talk about that, because you love bomb skip.
I love bomb skip! Alright. So, basically, when you slide off of that spot there, or walk off of it, you have a chance of having a subpixel appear there. It isn't always there, but if it is, you can jump off of that subpixel and go underneath the bombs. With how Richard did it, he actually jumped up on the wrong frame, and it made him jump up, straight up. He was very fortunate enough to get a second subpixel as he was falling and get underneath the bomb. So the fact that he got 2 subpixels is amazing. The fact that he still got underneath is another.
I feel like we should mention, like, I don't know if everybody knows what subpixels are. Like,
Yeah.
like a subpixel. Okay, so basically what we're meaning by that is Mega Man doesn't move at a set pixel. I guess range. Like, it's not like it's a whole number. It's like it's not 1 or 2, because if you move at 1 pixel, Mega Man runs too slow, and if he ran at 2, he'd run too fast. So he actually runs at like there's a decimal point in there. And so when we're talking about a subpixel, that's sort of what we mean, is like sometimes there's a pixel there based on how your movement goes, and sometimes there isn't. So it's just sort of dependent on sort of luck on what you're getting there. And it's sort of like a coin flip. Like, that pixel will be there sort of like 50-50. And even if it is there, you still have to jump off of it. So that's why it was so impressive, because he actually got it twice, and he actually got a jump off of it twice, which is pretty ridiculous.
Oh, and that also saves 4 seconds if you do get it. The reason that, again, because it's so risky, because you have a chance of not getting it. If you die there, that's a 40-second loss.
Yeah, it's realistically not a race strat.
Realistically, but then you have some people
cool
who
to
are
see
crazy.
people go for it. Like, you know, I mean, obviously, like, Ppotdot's finished and stuff, so, I mean, there's not really any risk necessarily to go for that anymore. But
Right.
you do still gotta be careful, because these race times are gonna be taken into account. Like, if there's a tie somewhere in one of these pools and it comes down to a tiebreaker based on times, you don't want to have, you know, an extra couple minutes thrown on because, you know, you went for a crazy strat. So,
Yep.
but he nailed it. Like, it's crazy. Like, basically, that's the kind of thing that I go for in runs when I know my run is almost dead. Because it's something that it's like, okay, well, I've already lost this much time. If I die, I don't really care. I'll just reset. It's not a big deal. But if I get it, it saves the run, and I can continue, kind of thing.
To my knowledge, I'm still the only person that, like, in PB attempts, I will 100% go for that.
Fasta does, too.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about Fasta if he still 100% did that, but yeah.
He hasn't done runs in a while, but yeah,
That's
when he was
true.
doing runs, he's gonna go for it every time.
It's only the 3rd stage in. I don't feel it's too bad to go for.
Yeah.
In a race setting, that's totally different. That's only the 3rd instance that I can think of that has happened in a race. The 2nd instance was earlier in this tournament where Darko did it, and the 1st was when I did it last year at, what was it? Best of Ness? I think is what it was.
Yeah, you were racing Ppotdot. I don't remember which one it was, but
I think it was, oh yeah, it was Best of Ness for that one.
not many people do it for a good
No.
reason.
And the only reason that I did it in that one was because I was in a call with Ppot. He said he died, and I was like a screen before, and I said, alright, I'm going for it.
Yeah. So 4 stages to go here left. Yeah, I mean, honestly, again, with Mega Man 6, it's sort of like that. It's sort of like 4 for me, where when I get out of 4 stages, I actually get kind of excited, because I really like the sort of gauntlet of Tomahawk, Yamato, Knight, and Centaur. They're actually really fun stages to play, so whenever I finally get out of Plant, I'm like, yes, here we go. Like, I really like Flame. Flame is my favorite stage in the game,
great stage.
but just these 4 stages in a row are really fun. 6 is actually a really great speed game because of that. I think there's actually a lot of really fun stages in this game. I would highly recommend people pick it up.
I mean, I would too, but I'm really biased on it.
Like, a lot of people don't like the fact of the slide canceling and stuff, but it's actually
really
really fun to do. I was actually, I think it was Cassio. Cassio was talking about this game fairly recently, about how he was getting pretty frustrated by it, and then he actually mentioned once, clearly he'd been practicing, and he mentioned once that he's like, it feels so rewarding when you get like the cleanest slide cancel, where it feels like you almost didn't even slow down. And it's like, yeah, that's almost what it is you get like a few slide cancels that are just so good that, because ideally, right, you're like, if you're doing like a turn cancel, for example, you really are only wanting to be holding left for like 1 frame. So there's a lot of really fast D-pad movement where you're holding right, and then you're like basically just barely catching a left and then holding right again, because you want to be moving to the right away. And so, just getting one of those like really like smoothly, it feels so good. Because this game really does, the movement really does look clunky sometimes based on the canceling, but when you get it. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, most of the speedrun for this game is all about your movement. If you can't do your cancels and your slide chaining well, that's where all of your time loss is going to be, the random bosses aside. Like, if you can't get a perfect slide chain, oh wow, you just lost, 3 frames. If you do that throughout the entire stage, you're now, how many seconds behind on every stage compared to somebody else? Like, it is really hard to optimize your movement like that.
It is, and that's something that's actually kind of cool though about 6 though, is I think 6 really makes you think about it more than some of the other games. To a point where you'll see a lot of people just cut certain slides right out of their runs because they just know that they're very risky and they don't want to risk losing another run to, another missed slide cancel. So I feel that this is actually an interesting speedrun that some people will just, play it safer, take those. We've seen a lot of that actually in this 46 tournament where a lot of people will just cut out slides just to make it safer because, you're better off doing something a little bit slower than taking, death somewhere, so.
Yeah, like for example, the platforms, a lot of people will just open those up rather than doing the actual strat. It's a lot slower, but hey, you're not going to die from it.
And I'm really interested to see when we do get to the bracket play for this tournament, what some of the top runners start to do, because you can play this category very risky. You're playing through 6 games, 6 different types of physics. You can go really risky and go for a lot of really fast strats, but in the end, I almost wonder if a player doing slightly slower strats that are more consistent might end up being
better off in the end.
Better off in the end, yeah. We've seen 2 very good times so far in this tournament. We had one from Nero earlier today, actually. He got a 145. But Baron, who does slower strats in a lot of cases, got a faster 145 the other night. And that's what it is. It's just consistency.
Consistency is key.
We'll really. I'm really curious to see what people decide to go for, if they risk it all or just sort of relax a little bit and slow and steady wins the race sometimes. So 2 more stages to go here, Nightman and Centaur.
That feeling fast at CC Yamato fight. That was a little more accurate to how fast fights Yamato.
As long as the boss is always in iframes, doesn't matter.
Exactly. Let's see if Richard tries to go for the ceiling skip.
Got the little jump.
Small jump, yep, okay.
Going for it.
You got it, yep.
So he's got it.
Yep. So like I said earlier, if you pause right at that time, the ceiling continues to move while you're still invincible because of the pause, so it's completely safe to do that. It's a little tricky trying to get used to doing it, but as soon as you have it, easy every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the runners do have to do them in order, Knackers. Start at 1 and end at 6. A lot of the leaderboards have actually sort of changed a little bit. So they're based off of RTA, which means real-time attack, obviously. Timer starts when you hit game start on Mega Man 1, and it doesn't stop until you kill Centaur in Mega Man 6. We have added an in-game time section now to the leaderboard because people have different setups, right? Some people play on Virtual Console, which has very, very slow, game, it loads games very slowly, so it takes, you lose a lot of time actually to that. Just an emulator runner can just switch games like that, whereas some of the consoles and stuff are a lot slower. So we actually added an in-game time section so people could actually see who has the faster actual play versus just the faster setup, and that's kind of cool to see. But the runs are still based off of RTA, even though there is that section, so all that has to get taken into account.
Indeed. So kind of pattern Knight gives, so far so good. Just staying on the ground, throwing the flail.
Yeah, it's a really good pattern, actually.
That was a perfect pattern. Just stay and throw the flail. That's all you need him to do. If he jumps around a lot, which he tends to do, he tends to jump the most.
Yeah.
It gets really frustrating.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of different names for him, but my favorite is Baron has nicknamed him Sir Jumpington.
Sir Jumpington.
Just want to kind of point out here, so again, we're seeing just like a lot of these races here, we're seeing a lot of PBs, and Richard is actually about 2.5 minutes ahead of his best time in this category. So
yeah,
he's looking at a pretty sizable personal best here if he can get through Centaur.
Opting not to go for Miracle Jump. I don't think we covered that when Ppotdot did it.
No.
Miracle Jump is where you jump over that gap where the Metroid is falling down before it hits you. It's actually really tricky because if you jump too late on it, it for whatever reason applies water physics to you. Ooh, that's unfortunate.
Okay.
Oh, game over.
And not a big deal. I mean, he's
not
just
a
going
huge
to
one
on at the checkpoint anyway.
Right.
Or at the beginning, I should say.
Hey, the extra life to make up for it.
Yeah, there it is. Thanks, game.
But anyway, with that jump, you have to try and make sure that you don't jump too late, otherwise it applies water physics and you hit the Metroid and you'll die from it, guaranteed. So you have to cancel your slide early enough, but not too soon that you can't make the jump. So you have a very small window that you have to cancel, jump over it, and make sure you're safe.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, obviously, like you guys are implying, you know, there's issues with consoles and stuff, but realistically, if you had the money for the setup, you probably could be just as fast on console as emulator. Like if you had a second console and a switcher, you could have the next game ready to go basically by like, if you know it's ready to go by just hitting power, then you're set. So I mean, you could technically be just as fast as emulator, I think.
Yeah, and a lot do use the flash cards. Me, for example, I do use a flash card for it.
I've seen only a handful of people actually do that. I think Mr. Cab did that when he did his 1 to 10. He had like a second console ready to go. I think I've seen Barn Owl do that as well.
I think Cab was doing it for this.
Okay, yeah, I mean honestly that's a good decision.
As far as I know, yeah, he's doing that. 2 consoles. He's swapping them out like that.
It's a very, very smart approach. So here we go.
Yeah, just use 6 Nesses.
Final boss. Yeah. Thankfully, this is pretty much a done deal now. This is a really easy boss fight, so he should have a pretty sizable PB here, which is great. Should have this 207 locked down.
That's unfortunate.
He's got 1 teleport. That's a couple seconds lost, but nothing too crazy. There's a second one, but last hit. He did get flashed, but it's over. So GG to Richard here. Finishes, according to RaceBot, with a 2 hour, 7 minute and 39 second time. So congrats on his just over 3 minute PB. So solid.
Job well done.
Yeah, for sure. And if we can get this category down to 2 minutes, I might pick it up. So yeah,
certainly a fun race.
yeah, good job. They had a couple spots for both runners. They had little hiccups, but they got through. Ppotdot again getting that sort of consistent 1 hour 50-ish minute time, and Richard with the good PB. So yeah, good race. This is the last race for tonight. We're not going to have any more today, but tomorrow, like I said earlier in this restream, tomorrow is a very, very busy day.
Absolutely.
Do the little post the schedule here so you guys can see it here.
I gotta go practice.
But check out the schedule there. If you click on that link, you'll be taken to our Google Doc. It's got the schedule going. And yeah, we've got, as you can see, there's. Oh, I think there was 6 at the time, but now there's only 5 there. So 5 races tomorrow. One at 10:30 a.m. EST. That'll be Nero versus Jonathan. At 2 p.m. we have Colonel Fatso against Mazamov, and then also at 2 p.m. McCravenators playing Avalon Star. And then later in the evening, we've got our restreamer of the night, Dosium. I think that's how you pronounce it. Racing against my partner in crime here tonight, Dark Terex.
Hi.
Good to finally see that pool sort of get their act together and finally put a race on the schedule. And then after that, we see Colonel Fatso again racing twice in one day. He's going to be racing Infinite Mystery also at 9 p.m. So
what a madman.
5 races tomorrow. So yeah, there's definitely no shortage of Mega Man coming up in the near future. So yeah, definitely look forward to that. And yeah, I don't know. I don't have any other closing thoughts. You got something you want to say, Jared?
I don't currently. Good race. Other than that.
Well, yeah, I guess that's it for us. So thanks for watching, everybody. And again, definitely watch for these races coming up. I'm sure there's going to be some on twitch.tv/speedgaming. There may also be some cover, like at 9 p.m. I think we're going to have one on this channel and one on twitch.tv/speedrunslive. So they might. I think the one at 2 p.m. is 4 people on. Like it's going to be a 4-way broadcast. But the ones at 9, I think, are going to be 2 separate races with 2 runners. So definitely, if you want to watch the race with Terex, you can do that, or the one with Fatso, you can do that. Or if you're a crazy person like me, you'll probably have both up because I want to see what's going on. So, but yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for racing to Richard and Ppotdot.
Indeed.
And, yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. So take care, everyone.